but they don't open their eyes up. They don't take ownership that you're choosing to be where you are right now. You have power to choose your thoughts. Your thoughts and your words are creating your reality.
Welcome back to Systems with Laura, the podcast where we explore how systems, both internal and external, can transform your business and life. This episode of Systems with Laura is brought to you by Proprium, business workflow and automation agency. If you're building a service-based business and you're overwhelmed by operations, automations, or choosing the right tools, this is exactly what Proprium helps with. Proprium builds systems that help you save time, reduce repetitive work, and scale without chaos. Learn more at proprium.agency. Today's episode is one for the soul and the strategy. We're diving into how our inner world, the beliefs, patterns, and mindsets we operate from, shapes the systems we try and build in our business. And to help us navigate that connection, I'm joined by someone I deeply admire, Jane Wareham. Jane is a transformational Mindshift coach and spiritual mentor who helps visionary women break free from fear, doubt, and societal conditioning so they can rise into their next level of power, purpose, and freedom. Through her signature blend of mindset work, embodiment, and spiritual principles, Jane guides her clients to create lives and businesses that feel deeply aligned, joyful, and abundant. Whether through private coaching, immersive workshops, retreats, or her intimate women's community, she's on a mission to help women remember who they are, trust their desires, and boldly create the life they were born to live. Whether she's coaching women to activate their feminine power or speaking on international stages, Jane brings a grounded, empowering, and radically honest energy to everything she does. Jane, welcome to my podcast.
Laura, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here. What a lovely intro from you. And ever since we met, we gravitated to each other. Our energies were aligned. So this just feels so right.
Thank you for being my guest. And I also have to say immediately that I agree. We had this 15-minute call that's turned to be way longer. And I really felt that this conversation is going to be interesting. So to everybody who's going to listen to this later, I hope you enjoy it. And I'm so excited to hear your thoughts on all of the topics that I mentioned, especially related to systems. I understand that everything we're going to talk about, we can't put in a box for sure, but still not having it in a box is also a system of itself. So I think it's going to be useful. So I know that you often say that mindset is the first system we need to fix. So what does that mean in the context of daily life and our business?
I love this question. And I think this is so important because, especially having this podcast around systems, when one has a business and you think about a system, you think, okay, what platforms am I using? Am I using a tool for social media? How am I growing my team? How can I scale my business? And of course, there's all these back-end systems that do lay a foundation in our business. However, one of the most important foundations that you can have is building your mental foundation. Let me give you just a little bit about myself. So I come from the corporate world. I spent 17 years as a project manager. 17. Yeah, I just turned 40. And I followed that career path. I made a lot of money. I was very successful. I was very good at what I did. However, probably like some of you listening right now, and Laura, I'm sure you can relate to this, it was unfulfilling. It was ultimately not what I call my zone of genius. It was my zone of excellence, which is a zone where you can do something very well, you're excellent at it, but it doesn't really light you up. And so when I started actually pursuing my passions, let me tell you how that started. So I was about 10 years into my career, burnt out, tired, exhausted, thinking there has to be more to life, when I decided to sell everything I own. I'm based in Toronto, Canada, sold everything I owned, packed my bag, and moved and traveled around the world. I went to over 30 countries, Croatia being one of them. and explored and traveled and lived my best life. And I was on this quest for freedom that I didn't think I could find in Toronto. And as I traveled more and more and more, chasing summer, basically reaching a point where I had worked, saved enough money, I didn't need to work anymore, I could live at the beach in Bali, I realized I wasn't happy. And that was a harsh realization because I would sit at my desk in Toronto dreaming about living in Bali and not having to work. And that's what I had, and I wasn't happy. So that is what started my true quest to find inner happiness. And when we talk about building a mental foundation, reconnecting back to you is the most important thing. And that's what I had to do. And at that point, I was 30. I went and I started to look at all in my life when I was the happiest. And I realized I was happiest when I was helping others. Now, in a way, project management, you're helping your clients. I'm helping a lot of people, but I wasn't doing something that I valued, that I felt really good about. So I started pursuing my passion in health and wellness. That led me to then stopping my corporate career when I moved back to Toronto, completely stopping that, going all into health and wellness. Then COVID hit. I started a virtual fitness business. Crazy. From project manager to virtual fitness business, but it lit me up. And it was so amazing. And then I started coaching women on the mindset behind health, helping them build the mental foundations they need to live a healthy and active lifestyle that's easy and fun. That has expanded. I no longer have that business. I released that many years ago. But now, in the place I am today, I'm realizing and helping others see how important the mental foundation is. Because let me tell you, back in 2020, I didn't realize that as I was helping all these women with their mindset in their health, I didn't realize my mindset was holding me back in my business. I was like holding myself back. I had fears and doubts, imposter syndrome. We're going to tap into some of these things in a bit. But I didn't realize that. So what I did was I was always looking for strategy. I wanted someone to tell me exactly what to do so that I could make 10K, 20K, 30K months. Just tell me what to do. I'll do it. And what did I do? I did just that. I found people to tell me what to do, and I tried doing it. And maybe I would succeed for 1 month, maybe 1 month, 2 months. But what would happen? My fears and doubts would kick in. I didn't actually ever work on the root cause of why I had the fears and doubts that I did. I didn't spend any time working on my own mental foundation. And I then found myself in a spiral. And I started going down a path where my business was running me. I wasn't running my business. So having these mental mindset systems and foundations is so key, because when you shift the way that you think, you shift what unfolds in your reality. Because what we think about and speak about, I'm very big with my hands. What we think about and speak about becomes our reality. And this can be a harsh realization. Let me tell you, there are things in my life right now I don't like, absolutely. And it's hard to accept that I have actually manifested this in some way. But the great thing is, by shifting the way you think and speak, you can shift your reality. So what systems do, they're not just external structures that we have, they're actually energetic containers that support your expansion. Your mental foundation supports your expansion. And what does that do? That then helps you ensure that you get more aligned. I'm very spiritual in the way, I mean, if you're going to believe in manifesting, then you're going to have to believe in some higher power. So the universe, God, source, whatever it is. And I'm all about connecting back to what's inside, to how I feel, to what makes me happiest, getting that spiritual alignment, and then taking practical systems. And what does that do? You put those both together, and then you have sustainable success with soul. So that's what I'd really have to say for you, Laura, on why the foundations of mindset and systems is so important, and really how I started to realize that for myself.
So this was extremely powerful, because I find myself in a lot of things you're saying. And I just want, to paint a picture for listeners. When you mentioned Bali and the beach and everything, that people, when you ask them if you could change your day, how would it look like? Where would you be? What you would do? and then you got that and you weren't happy. And I think that's the harsh truth of, if we don't work on ourselves, if we don't learn about ourselves, if we don't kind of get to know ourselves first, whatever we do, it won't just stick. And that also, shows with people who win the lottery. Usually within 3 years they lose everything. So how do you process all of that? How did you, the whole struggle that you had from that point up until the point where you are now? What was that journey like, and the changes that you have to make, and basically you had to become this other person that you always were, but you had to, get into the power of that. What did you have to do?
Great question. And you nailed it. You said it. So you are already who you need to be to have what you want. However, because of the way that we're thinking right now, because of the way that you might be thinking, you don't have what you truly desire right now. And let me tell you, so in 2021, I still had my virtual fitness business, and I was introduced to an incredible coach and mentor, Hinakon. And she is a spiritual coach meets peak performance. So she's all about taking spirituality and making it approachable for the corporate type woman that isn't exposed to any of that. And what she taught me, and this is, I started joining her community, listening to her calls, listening to her podcast, and it's all about a world of possibility. And so at first, I had to open up my mind to believe that anything and everything is possible for me. And as Bob Proctor says, he says that if you can hold it in your hand, or if you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. That's what it is. So I started to think, wow, our mind is a very powerful thing. If I can see it in my mind, if I can imagine it, then I can have it. And think about this. I also opened my mind up to the possibility that all the people around me that I saw as competition, especially from the fitness world. When I started my business, I had to start unfollowing certain trainers because I was seeing their business and I felt like they were succeeding so much more than me. And it gave me, I'm a very competitive person, and it gave me that competitive mindset. However, I shifted my belief to then start to see that, well, if someone else has it, what I see, what I desire, someone's taking some private jet to Bali. If I see that, that's possible for me too. They are only showing me what is also possible for me. So some of these key shifts, as I started to make, allowed me to open up my awareness a little bit more. Because you might be right now in a position where you either have a business or you're working in the corporate world, or maybe looking for work, and you may feel that there's a limit. You can only ever make so much money. Maybe your money mindset based off what your family's done, all these things play a factor, and that limits you. Your only limit is ultimately your mind. So what I started to do was I started to spend more time focusing on what I desired and less time worrying about and thinking about and speaking about what I didn't. Now, I'm sure you will relate to this, everyone that's listening, and Laura. How many times do we talk about what we don't freaking want? I don't want to swear. I was going to say swear, but I'm not going to swear. How many times do we talk about what we don't want? Like, think about as you go through your day, right? You think about a situation. Maybe you have like something happening tomorrow. Maybe you've got a presentation and you're like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't screw this up. Oh my gosh, like I'm so nervous. Oh, I'm taking a flight somewhere. Oh, what if my bags don't show up? We always imagine worst case. And unfortunately, society has trained us to think, well, if I think about all these worst case scenarios, then I'm going to prepare myself for when it happens. Talk about freaking manifesting what you don't want. And I did this, trust me, I did this for years. So what I realized I needed to start doing was focusing more on what I really desired. And the easiest and fastest way, the effortless way, as it's said in The Power of Awareness, the most easiest way is to imagine it. If you want to collapse time to manifest what it is you want, if you want time to collapse and you want that to happen faster, You need to start getting in tune with how you're thinking. And you need to start imagining yourself as if you already have what you desire. Now, this could be new. This could be new. Some of the things I'm saying right now, you might be like, what? I need to imagine like I already have what I desire. Yes, that's exactly what you need to do. So when you think about your current position, this is what I do with my clients all the time. And I did this, I mean, I'm living proof of what's possible. So I've done this for myself. I continuously do it with myself, and I love doing this with my clients. So I'll share this with you now. So if you think about your current situation, you've got certain thoughts about your situation. Maybe you don't have enough money. Maybe you feel broke. Maybe you feel like opportunities are hard to find. Maybe you're unhappy in your job. You think you're never going to get the promotion that you want. These could be thoughts that you have. If you're thinking that way, how do you think you're feeling? Now, this is how everything flows together. You have a thought, it creates a feeling in your body. That feeling then creates an action. We act based off how we feel based off how we think, and whatever we act on becomes our results. So you can imagine here, if you have those thoughts, I'm broke, I'm unhappy, I'm never going to find a partner, I'm never going to buy a house. If these are your thoughts, your feelings are going to be pretty low. You're going to be feeling stressed. You're going to be feeling shame, possibly. Trust me, I felt a lot of shame about the debt that I accumulated because, I say investment now, but in my business, I've invested tens of thousands of dollars. You're going to be feeling maybe unsuccessful, like a failure, anything, any thought, unhappy, unfulfilled. So we have that feeling. If in your current state, you've got those negative thoughts, you're feeling that way, that is low vibration. That is low. Every feeling that we have, we emit a vibration. Here's a spirituality piece. We emit vibrations out into the world. And that says to God, source, universe, what it is you're ready to receive. Have you ever had it happen where you stub your toe in the morning? Simplest example. You stub your toe. Then you drop your coffee. Then you get in the car and there's excessive bumper to bumper traffic trying to get to work. You're late for work. And then you get to work, you realize you forgot your lunch. And then yada, 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 yada. Everything unfolds as this negative, crappy day, right? This is all based off your perception, one, how you're seeing things, because you're choosing to see that, and how you're feeling. So when you're having that low vibration feeling, what type of actions do you think you would take? Let me tell you. You're not going to be hopping, jumping, and skipping to reach out to new clients, to put yourself out there. You know what I mean? To go on a new date, like whatever it is, you're not going to be doing that because you're low vibe. So your actions are going to be to probably pull away. Your actions might be to isolate yourself. Maybe, just to not do anything, to be stuck. And then the results of that, you don't have what you want. So here's what I did back in 2021. I started to understand all this. So I started to put myself mentally in the place of my dream fulfilled. So I started to imagine how incredible, I'll close my eyes right now, like how amazing this life is of my dream fulfilled. So I used to sit and I would dream about being at a beach. I would dream about being, not hostel living like the traveling I did, not this like scraping hostel living. No, luxury beach villa, overlooking the ocean, expansive, incredible, beautiful, bohemian, like all these things. I imagine that. I imagine waking up with the ocean breeze, the curtains, like linen curtains are blowing with ocean breeze. You can smell the ocean, right? Like this is how intently I would imagine what I want. I would flow through my day. I would imagine waking up, cuddling with my partner. I'd imagine listening to calming music, affirmations in the morning, going out on the terrace, yes. Beautiful patio furniture, comfortable, cozy, journaling, working, reading, whatever I need to do, doing some movement in the morning. I played out my entire day. I'd get myself there mentally. And then I'd go back to, from that place, that incredible dream, how amazing that is. How would I be thinking? Well, let me tell you, Jane, living that life, is freaking thinking, I have an amazing life. She is thinking that I effortlessly attract clients. She is thinking that the more I rest, the more I make. She is thinking that I am in tune with all sides of myself. I'm in tune with my shadow self and my, future self. I'm in tune with it all and I love it all. She's thinking I am enough. She's thinking I am unstoppable. I am powerful. I can do anything. Now, think about that. If you're thinking that way, if I'm thinking that way, how would I be feeling? I'd be feeling powerful. I'd be feeling proud. I'd be feeling successful. I'd be feeling harmonious, calm, in flow. I mean, I could spit these feelings out. I'd be feeling adventurous. I'd be feeling healthy, And then imagine feeling that way. That vibration that's going out, I'd be feeling abundant. That vibration going out, oh my God, the universe is like, hallelujah, Jane, thank God you're ready for this. Let's go. And gives me back all of that. All the love, all the abundance, all the riches, everything that I desire comes right back to me because I am radiating. Like that aura's around me, I'm radiating that. And then when you're feeling that way, how do you think you'd be acting? Like I would be taking action. I'd be taking, as I say, inspired action. And this is the best way to start taking action or inspired action. It's called inspired action. It's inspired by your feelings and your thoughts. So when you're already having such a positive thought and a good feeling, your actions are naturally going to be good. So I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to want to be on more podcasts. I am going to be speaking on bigger stages. I'm going to be working with bigger clients. Look, I have just worked through all this and I just created a luxury retreat. Like I have been dreaming about doing this. I'm doing it right now. So think about this. I'm sitting here today. I'm not living at that beach villa yet, but I'm putting myself there. Those thoughts, those feelings, and those actions are actions I could take today. So this is a major thing. This is a big piece on how and what with my clients and how I myself was able to make a major shift to get myself out of this 3D world. Like right now, newsflash, everything you see around you, 3D world, okay? If you are consumed and live in the 3D world, you will forever be limited. Because I look around and yeah, this 3D world is a lot of what I desire, but I desire more. I desire bigger. I desire grander. I desire a bit different. And so if I just stay stuck, and trust me, I moved into this condo with my boyfriend in November. I've been manifesting this place for a while, like years. A bright, spacious office space. Right now I'm looking at my dining room, living room, massive windows, tons of light coming in. My old place, my old house, as nice as it was really dark. And I really didn't like that. So here I am here today, I'm sitting here in now seeing, okay, well, I once wanted this and now I have it. Amazing. So grateful. But I do desire more. So as I got to take myself there mentally, I really need to take myself there mentally. And that's what I do. And this is a very easy way to write down your thoughts, feelings, and actions, and then what your results would be from your future self. Take yourself there mentally. It's the effortless way. It requires very minimal effort for you to close your eyes and imagine. And let your mind run wild. Let it run wild and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen, as I say? Your manifestations come true? Honestly? What's the worst that could happen? Give it a go.
So I have a lot of questions and comments. And you've met me already, that I'm very similar to you when it comes to clear, concrete, speaking my mind and all of that. So just to kind of put context on what I'm about to say is, I told you I live in Eastern Europe and you are aware of cultural differences. And I do feel that I kind of made myself blend into a different mindset on my own by myself wanting to not think certain ways, for example. And this could be also a mentality of different generations. It could be a cultural mentality. It doesn't have to be Eastern Europe. It could be just different generations and all of that. So there are two things here that I want to comment. One, when somebody says manifestation, vibration, and all of that, people around me are gonna be like, she's cuckoo for cocoa puffs, basically. So that's one thing. So I want us to kind of make it clear to the audience what those terms mean, because they are not something that people are saying just to say and throwing words. We all do this, intentionally or not intentionally. You can call it daydreaming, you can call it basically, thinking about your goals, you can call it in any different way, but you can't say that when you feel something and when you think about something, you don't have some energy around you. But I do feel that there is something there. I don't know what or how or why, but I decided sometime in my life that I'm going to believe in that. And basically, I go very simple about it, and I do feel like in every phase of my life, I had to reinvent myself. And I was battling not just the internal thoughts that you mentioned, but also the external thoughts, because I don't have a lack of people telling me that I will burn out, or this is not smart, or I should just, find a job and all of that. And a few years ago, that would really, really bring me down. And now it's more like, well, thank you for that information. Now I know what you think you can't, right? Now I can see that this is something that you're telling me, that it's your limitation. And I can just say thank you and move on and accept that I'm not going to take that information as mine. And when you mentioned Bob Proctor, I had to, think about my favorite quote, and it ties into what I'm saying. He said, "You did not create your beliefs, you inherited them. All you have to do is analyze your beliefs in the light of truth." And I really believe in that. And I realized that there are so many fears that I took from my mother, and I just, used it as my own. And I'm not afraid of those things, basically. So I'm working on it still. I am not there yet, but for everybody struggling with that, both internal and external factor, cultural differences, generational differences, people around you telling you what you can or cannot do, where do you start, and how do you cope with that?
That's great. And thank you for sharing your experience, because like you, we keep it real. Like, I want to keep it really real. And of course, like, some of the things I'm saying could be very new and very confusing. And they're not terms that even I used 5 years ago, right? And I would say that I've been handed a lot of beliefs, like everyone has. We've all been handed beliefs from childhood. Our parents, were only doing the best with what they knew. And they learned that from their parents. And it's like everything gets handed down or handed up, whichever way you want to look at it. And so, but really here, like that quote says, I find with mindset, so mindset specifically, it doesn't change the situation you're in, but it changes the way you see and perceive and react to the situation that you're in. So I think one of the most helpful things to start doing is to get curious. Like, it's honestly that simple. Get curious as to why you believe the things that you do, right? Like, the sky is blue. We're told the sky is blue. We associate that color, right? It's like, why do we believe things? I'll give you the simplest example. I just said this the other day to my 8-year-old stepdaughter. I used to always say, I'm bad at math. I suck at math. I'm terrible at math. What am I doing when I say that? I am identifying as someone who is bad at math. So no shit, that I went through school struggling in math, especially in university. I went to school for business. I had to take stats 1, stats 2, algebra, calculus, like my worst nightmare. And like barely passing those classes, although I was grateful for that. But it's interesting because in university, I failed managerial accounting and I had to do it again, or financial accounting, one or the other. And I had to do it again. When I did it again, I got a B plus or like an A. Like, it was crazy. I actually had time to understand the concepts without all the other noise of my other courses. That was really eye-opening for me. And I was like, wow, because I always used to say, if I ever have a business, I'm just going to hire an accountant, right? I was like, I don't need to know this. I'm going to hire someone. I used to always say that in class. I'm like, this is a waste of my time. I don't need to know balance sheets. I don't need to know any of this. But again, back to that belief, I am bad at math. And I said to my 8-year-old stepdaughter that, hates homework and thinks that she can't do it. And I'm like, Macy, girl, whatever you tell yourself, you're going to believe. And I'm like, one day you'll understand this. I'm like, but I used to say this to myself. And it's that simple. Like, we need to start thinking about how we speak to ourselves. Even just saying something happens, you make a mistake. Like, I'm so stupid. I'm so dumb. I can't believe I did that. How dumb was that? Oh my gosh, now I'm so embarrassed. People are going to judge me. Like, all of those thoughts, right? They're reinforcing our beliefs. So when you get curious about it, you start to question it, right? You question its validity. Now, this is really, really important. If you're going to take one thing away from this among, we're going to say a lot of great things, but if you're going to take one thing away, the mind will believe anything you tell it. Anything. The mind does not know when you have a thought, the mind does not actually know if it's true or false. It just knows it's there. It's a thought. And so whatever you feed it, whatever you think, it believes. So if you think you did something stupid, you think you're stupid, it hears stupid, right? If you want the opposite and you start thinking those positive, like better thoughts on what you truly desire, you start to rewire your brain. And then also something the brain does, it always finds evidence. So as a business owner, so I had like reverse success. My business, my virtual fitness business, because COVID hit, everyone needed somewhere to go, somewhere to train and work out. They loved my class, my coaching. So it was like, boom, 40 clients. Like, it was crazy. Like, I'm not even joking. Within 2 weeks, I had like 40 clients. Every entrepreneur's freaking dream, right? As we try to get one client, one recurring client, right? It was reverse success. Then when I realized it wasn't really a match to me anymore, gyms started to open up again. It just wasn't aligned to what I wanted. Something that I experienced was that, money stopped flowing in. And I felt like a failure because from corporate world, I associated success with money. Anyone that's had like any job, you're more successful the more money you make. Everyone's always like, how much money are you making? I mean, in North America, everyone's like, how much money do you make? How much money do you make? Everyone wants to know. And so, in my corporate career, building up my income to like 130K plus, like I felt so successful. I was rolling in the money, you know what I mean? Every pay, like every month making 10K, 12K, like more, it was amazing. So in my business, when I didn't see the money flow in, I felt like a failure. And what I had to do in that situation, I had to start to reframe and redefine what success meant to me. And that started to shift, I got curious. Why do I feel like a failure? And I thought about it. I actually did like an hour with another coach I know because I had to work through this. Like I was like, I need help. Like I'm in this recurring cycle of feeling like a failure. I don't know why. Well, I do know why because I'm not seeing the money. This is like back in 2022. I was like, I'm not seeing the money. It's stressing me out and I need to shift this. And she's like, I'll help you. So together we go through and she's like, let's talk about it. Like, why do you feel like a failure? Let's get curious. And I'm like, well, I don't have as many clients as I think I should have. Right? Of course, always. I'm not making the money that I think I should be making right now. I'm not receiving money. I can't do what I want. I can't buy what I want. All these things. And then we start to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then I had the thought of when I got real curious, beyond the reasons on how I felt about it, I was like, but this is kind of weird because I'm an optimist realist my whole life. I've never had the type of mindset or personality that was like a failure. I'm not sitting around moping around, telling everyone how much I suck, like, complaining to everyone. I'm the opposite. I was always, going for things, the go-getter, the risk taker. And I was like, I've never really failed. And why am I thinking that I'm failing because I'm not making money. Well, that's one problem. I need to redefine what success means to me. But then what I ultimately did in that time, as I worked through this, was I realized success is inevitable for me. And I came up with that affirmation. And every day I would, reflect on this and reflect on the reason on feeling like a failure. And in fact, I'm not a failure. And I had to rewire my brain to find evidence that I was succeeding. Because if you have one thought, you feel like a failure, trust me, my mind would go, yeah, remember when you failed all those math tests in grade 6? Your mind will find evidence of anything. And now when I started to reframe that, it was like, wait a second. No, success is inevitable for me. It took me, I'm not going to lie, 4 or 5 months for that to really resonate on a visceral cellular level. And eventually, because I had redefined what success meant, and for example, the connection we had, Laura, that beautiful coffee chat, how elevated I felt afterwards, right? That's a win for me. Taking time out of my day, you taking time in 2 completely separate countries, 2 completely different sides of the world, and what a beautiful connection. Gives me goosebumps. I literally just got goosebumps. It's that's a win. And as a business owner, in life in general, if we can't find these really small wins, then we're going to consistently be low and feel down and all of that. So 5 months later, I realized one day, I just kind of as a realization, and this is the thing with mindset, there's no time frame on things. You have no idea when things are going to stick, when you're going to shift. All of a sudden, 5 months later, I realized I didn't feel that way anymore. And it was a beautiful thing, And this is the reality, being the master of mindset and manifestation that I am, I'm not going to lie, I have low days. I have low moments. But what I'm able to do now is feel into it. When I once, we can talk a little bit, dive just a little bit here in masculine and feminine energy. A lot of business owners, female business owners, run on masculine energy. We wouldn't have a business if we didn't. Masculine energy, what is that? The doing, the get shit done. Now, do it, push it, more, work harder, more results. The more you work, the more successful your business is going to be. Hitting so many clients, reaching out to this many clients every single day, no matter how tired you are, it doesn't matter. Oh, take a day off. Why would you do that? Because you can make money while, instead of resting. Your business is just starting. You can't take breaks. Yeah, that's how I was. And I always functioned in a masculine energy. Being a project manager, a doer. I am a doer. And in my business, it's taken me up until the beginning of last year. So 4 years in my business. 2024 was transformative for me. I got into a different type of mastermind. It was exactly what I needed. And it helped me rebuild some mental foundations that I had ignored. I just wasn't really, I won't say ignored, I wasn't aware of its power. And that was my feminine energy. And so our feminine power, our true feminine power, is grounded. It's magnetic. It's intuitive. This hustle culture disconnects us from our bodies and our inner knowing. And so when we hustle and push and force, what that's actually doing, when we talk about putting out energy, that hustle, pushing, forcing, exhaustion is actually saying to the universe, saying to the higher power that I don't trust. Because if I rest, then I'm not going to make money. I'm not going to get clients. I'm not going to build my business. If I take breaks, that's not going to help me. But what I realized last year is you can manifest massive quote unquote success, whatever success you can manifest, the life that you deeply desire, leading with softness, leading with heart, with trust, spiritual alignment. So look, you can have both, right? Like there's still times, like the last 2 days I stepped hard into my masculine energy. I'm freaking exhausted today. Like I actually took the whole morning to just like do fun things and like be creative. And before this, because the last 2 days I pushed. I was launching my retreat. I wanted to get the pages done. I wanted to get the links ready. I wanted this. I spent, and you probably know this, Laura, like especially with like systems and stuff, like I had a vision for the checkout page. I wanted to do something. I swear to God, I like effed around with it for like 2 hours. In the end, doing it the simplest, straightforward way. Like it was like, no, I want to have this extra offer. I want it to show up like this. I was like talking to ChatGPT, like, yo, help me figure this out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how can I do this within Thrivecart? Anyway, I'm not joking. Yesterday, like midday, just drained. Like after the day before doing so much, yesterday morning doing so much, I was just energetically drained. I was in my masculine energy. I was pushing and forcing. And now let me tell you, there is no timeline on the things I'm working on. None. And think about this with what you're working on, like all the listeners here. Think about this. What are you working on right now? And why are you pushing and forcing? Are you creating the timeline? Like ultimately, yes, I want to lock in 10 women for my retreat as soon as possible. But like really, is half a day going to make a difference? Absolutely not. So I was pushing in that masculine energy. And what did it do? It left me feeling drained. And it actually put me like that. I could even feel like I'm very intuitive with how I feel in my body. I could feel it in my body. Like, and I was telling myself, like, you are pushing. And then I'm just like, you know what I mean? Keep going. Like, it's just so crazy. And I'm like, okay. So that's why today, instead of doing like a HIIT workout at home, like a harder workout, I did stretching. You know, I read when I first woke up. It was crazy thunder and lightning this morning, so I was up super early. So I was like reading. My boyfriend went to work. I stretched. You know, I relaxed. I got creative. I took time. I got ready for this, like very, very relaxed. And so this is really important, like connecting back to you and leading from a place of love, knowing, and trust requires slowing down, creating space so that, you know, I meditate, like try to meditate 15 minutes a day, even just in silence, like to give myself spaciousness to allow the answers to come. And I'm not going to lie, like after 4 years of all this work, I've done 5 years now, I'm finally at a place of like deep inner knowing and trust in what I'm doing and trust in my master plan, as I would say. Like there's a plan for us. And even in hardships, like as I sit buried in debt, questioning how I'm going to get out of it, all these things, it's like I have love for that. I know my debt and investments have served me. Like I actually welcome it. Like I no longer fight it and resist it. And I'm learning this now. I'm reading this amazing book, Existential Kink. And it's all about like unmasking our shadow self and allowing it to be part of us. Because a lot of the things I work on with my clients and preach about is like finding the good, thinking positively, you know, like shifting, rewiring your brain through new beliefs, through new truths, as I call them, like positive affirmations, all of that. However, we're like a whole being. And what we tend to do is we push away those negative thoughts when we have them. Especially we hear this from coaches. It's like, no, you shouldn't think that way. But now I'm realizing like I'm welcoming those. I welcome them wholly. I welcome them with love as part of me. And by welcoming in the feelings I have, the shame, the guilt, all that stuff, the judgment around the debt and investments I've made in my business, it's like, and continue to make, it's like, well, no, this is a part of me. I love that I've done that. I love that. It's served me very well. And by doing that, I allow space to release those feelings. Like I need to feel them. You have to feel them in your body. This is feminine energy, feeling. You need to feel it in your body. Let any emotion out that needs to come out, whether that's tears, whatever it is, feel the sensations in your body. let them flow through you. And then that opens up more space to receive.
So I feel that people avoid slowing down because they need to feel. So this is where workaholism happens. And I always wanted to be an entrepreneur since I was a little kid. You know, I grew up in the 90s and you had those Barbie dolls that were business women, and the movies started showing, you know, like lawyers like Ally McBeal and, you know, Sex and the City and all of those shows. And I was like, wow, look at Carrie. She's, you know, financing all of her life with her column, and, you know, she's doing great. She has these friends, and life can be much more than just like having kids. And not that I against that, for example, like I think that's also a choice, and everything is a choice. So all I wanted was like, wow, I can be something other than what I see every woman around me be, in a way, if that makes sense. And I found that very inspiring, and I always, you know, wanted to know, how did these women think? How did they start with what they're doing? But if you go back now and you look at those shows, all of those cool business women that I admired were overworked, burnt out, in their full masculine energy, because they were basically 1 out of 50 men in that office, right? They were very rare at that time, which was very heroic at that time, but now it's not rare, right? So I kind of feel I started getting all of that, and I was, you know, taking it, feeling it, acting like it. And every single book that I wanted to read about business was written by a man, at least in my library, that were translated by authors from all over the world. You know, every coach that I could see on internet basically at that time was a man, right? There's
Tony
so many
Robbins.
women entrepreneurs now, you know. And I really feel like I bought into the hustle. And for 12 years, I would be like, we get up, we do this, no feelings, you know, discipline, and we do this and we do that, and we're gonna be millionaires, blah blah blah. And life hit me so many times with so many things that happened, and I just find myself at 33 now being like, yes, I do want this. I do feel happy as an entrepreneur, but like, is this really it if I keep pushing? Why can't I enjoy it? Why does it have to be a Lamborghini 20 years from now? That's not my dream, right? That's not me. Why can't I just have some happiness and basically kindness, and enjoy working with people, and enjoy the process, enjoy being part of it? You know, we don't have to make everybody around us suffer and make everybody just hustle, 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 and we'll get there. For example, my team, they're very shocked when they join, and when everybody's, you know, those first few weeks when you're afraid and you don't know the culture, and people are like, I have to take 2 days off. It's my sister's wedding and all that. And I'm like, great, take the whole week off. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, why would I need to give you permission? Just tell me enough in advance, right? And let's reorganize work. I mean, if my company burns down because we are not doing stuff for 2 days, then I didn't set it up properly. Let's be honest, you know? And basically, I learned that while I do still work a lot, I'm able to, in between those moments, plan a trip, take a break, find moments, enjoy stuff, unplug fully, and, you know, work from that, and then figure out where we want to be. And I no longer dream of this huge corporate building that we're gonna have, and everybody's gonna wear, you know, business suits and all of that, and we're all gonna be Ally McBeal and all of that. I dream of this global, remote first team that actually respects each other, and we're helping people and we're transforming businesses. And I think you either get to that by working on yourself, or being slapped around by life a little bit, just like you mentioned, or both. So one thing that I also learned through all the hardships is that my thoughts are not facts. I was so sure that my brain is like this AI model that's giving me like, this is accurate information. You are dumb. And I'm like, yes, I am dumb. And then basically when I realized literally that, you know, I would be like, when somebody would say positive affirmations, I would be like, I need to repeat stuff to myself to start believing it. That's some nonsense. And then I realized, yeah, I repeat negative affirmations to myself every day. So basically, I'm doing that right now. I'm just doing it negatively. So, like, let's switch it up a little bit. So now when I hear a thought, I'm just like, that's an interesting piece of information. Why would that help me with anything right now? Like, thank you. Let's move on. I acknowledge it, just like you said. So, is there something that you want to add to this whole monologue that I had?
Oh yeah, and trust me, I have it too, absolutely. And it's funny, it makes me think my my boyfriend, man, like we've been together actually just a year now, like in the last few days. And it's funny because he said something in the car the other day, and my knee-jerk reaction was, how is that serving your future self? I was like, how is that thought serving you? And he's like, well, da, 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 blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but really, like everything you're saying right now is an assumption. So, I mean, everything you're doing is exactly right. You know, you've got a thought, you question it and get curious about it. And I think, like, for everyone listening, take a hard look at your life. Like, take a step back, or 10, not in your life, but outward, and look down at your life and look at, are you happy? What's happened in your life? Think about when times are really good. Think about when times aren't what you desire, and realize that the way that you're thinking, the way that you're speaking, and the way that you're suppressing your emotions and not feeling and allowing them to flow through you, also possibly the baggage you're holding on to is affecting you. And it's the reason why your current situation isn't the way you want it to be. And I think something I've really put into practice this year is being more present. Because think about this. I talk about this all the time now. It's like, I love this saying, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. All you have is the here and now. Great. Oh my God, amazing. We've got this moment. Look at us, like here, you know, having this beautiful time here, enjoying what each other has to say, learning, growing, evolving, you know, expanding, opening our awareness. Now, typically, as we move through our days, I do this, trust me, I'm not perfect at this by any means, but what we end up doing is you're moving through your day and you're like, oh, shoot, I have to pay that bill. Oh my God, I have to pay that bill. Oh my God, I have to pay for my VA. Where's that money going to come from? Right? How am I going to do that? Or, oh, I got to get groceries later. Oh, what do I want to eat? Oh, I don't even want to think about what I want to eat right now. Or someone said something, you got a message, maybe you got constructive feedback and you're dwelling on it, right? Maybe in your work, someone said something to you, or you sent an email and then you start questioning, oh my God, does that sound rude? Was I too direct? We ruin the joy of every single moment in our lives. Not every moment, but you know, in our present moment, we ruin the joy. We take away the joy by either pulling things from the past forward and like we're holding on to them. We haven't released them. Now that can take therapy, right? Depending on what you're holding on to, you may need therapy. And I highly suggest, you know, because you are delaying your own happiness. And we keep ourselves, unfortunately, in suffering. It takes more energy to be mad and to stay mad than it does to be happy. But we don't allow ourselves to feel full joy. We might for a moment, like think about a time when something really great happened for you, and then pay attention to how long you allowed yourself to ride that wave. You know, something really great can happen at work. Maybe you get, you know, acknowledgement, a pat on the back. Maybe you had a really good client meeting. And then whether you work from home or you go home, and then you start a fight with your partner. You know, or your partner says something, or you're waiting for the tram and it takes forever, right? It's shut down. Actually, you need to find a new line. Like, so we don't actually allow this joy, but it's actually our innate human nature to be joyful. Our inner core, our inner deepest self is happy and joyful and blissful. We just don't allow that. And we don't focus on the present moment. And this is something that's interesting with the mind as well, which you may or may not know. Worry is completely made up. Every time you say, I'm worried, insert whatever you're worried about, you've made it up. Our minds are beautiful things. They are dangerous things. You've made it all up. If you're a worry worm, well, this is going to be eye-opening. And you wonder why you don't, all the things you're worrying about keep happening. Like, it's funny when people say something bad happens. My boyfriend said this the other day with he teaches at a college, and he didn't get paid the full hours for some reason. He got paid still like a pretty penny, but he didn't get paid the full hours. It was missing like 7 or like maybe 7 or 10 hours. And the words out of his mouth were, I knew this was going to happen. I couldn't even contain myself. I was like, you knew this was going to happen. So why didn't you do something about it? Like, if you knew, and I'm like, think about, I'm probably so annoying to him. I'm like, think about this, babe. You just said you knew it was going to happen. So if you knew, then what could you have done to change it? Right? Like, and that's so interesting when it's like we're anticipating, but hopefully this opens your eyes to the fact of how we truly manifest what we don't want. Continuously talking, complaining about how much we hate our job, hate our boss, don't like our partner, are unhappy, not traveling enough, don't have enough money, hate our debt, blah, 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 right? It's like the more we talk about it, the more energy we give it. And all of this, like, it's just, we have to be so aware, and we have to be so aware and practice enjoying our present moment. Oh yeah, sorry, tangent there. But so worry is completely imagined. Now, when it comes to stress and anxiety, stress is actually something like we feel there's a threat. Like worry, there's no actual threat. The only threat is the monster in our mind, right? That is like, but when we actually have stress about something, there's usually an external factor involved. Like you have a meeting coming up. You're stressed if how you're going to perform. You're going to have a conversation with a new client, or you have to reach out to new clients, right? Whatever that is. There's an actual situation that we're creating the stress around. And then from that, so worry is in the mind, stress is we feel it, and then anxiety is the dangerous thing that merges them both. We feel it in the mind and the body, and that just consumes us. So that also can derail you and take the joy out of our every moment. But really, like, again, this is daily work. Like all these things that you're learning today, if Laura, if you didn't spend a little bit of time every single day or every other day, or when you have time to work on your mindset. And it's really about getting honest with ourselves and thinking about what we currently have. And if it's not what we want, then we have to take radical responsibility to put in the time to change that. And you mentioned something before about, you starting to think a certain way and the people around you aren't on the same wavelength. Totally. Like my whole family. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and my mom's a coach, oddly enough. So completely different type of coach. But it's interesting because, yeah, all my family has certain beliefs, and I don't push my beliefs on them. I accept them where they're at. But what I do is I make sure I'm in communities with women that are, one, where I want to be. So I want to be inspired by people around me. So I'm putting myself in spaces with women that like are already living my dream. And I'm putting myself in spaces where women are thinking and speaking like me. And because even my closest friends, like it's hard. This is hard. As you grow and evolve and expand your mind, you can't unsee things. Like you can't unsee things. You're hearing, like I hear my friends manifest these shitty things in their life, like manifest consistent debt, stress, all this stuff, because all they do is talk about it. They watch the news, they complain about it. It's inflation, it's this, it's that, I'll never find a partner, yada, 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 like all that stuff. And it's like, again, I just, they know what I do. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, I'm not going to spew. I try sometimes to like say something that might tease their mind, but then it's like they're not ready to receive it. So it's like, no, well, no, like not everything's rainbows and butterflies. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. Of course it's not, you know? But really, it's like putting yourself in the right circles is going to help you evolve. And that's why, like, I'm so happy we're connected. Like, we create the spaces and communities. Like, early this year, I created a community, Freedom Collective and Freedom Circle. I have a free monthly call every month. And then I have a collective, a monthly membership. And it was exactly what my first coach gave me. It's a spin-off on that. It's not exactly what she did. It's not that exactly, but I took how powerful what I got, like everything I got from that space, and I created it for the women in my community. Because I'm like, well, if you don't got somewhere to dream, if you don't got somewhere to talk about all your fears and doubts and imposter syndrome and like take these steps forward in your business you're too afraid to take, and like get that support and get that mentorship and understand like what your block is, then how are you going to move forward? You're not. So yeah, that was a very long-winded response to what we were talking about, but
So it's very interesting that it's always a little bit of tension with friends and family for some reason, and it's the people that love you. So
yes.
I'm not saying it's the people that don't love you. It's always with the people that love you a little bit of tension. How do you navigate that, and how do you navigate any potential conflict? It's easy when you're an adult and you're not, dependent on them. Let's say I remember when I was in high school, and when I would have different, dreams and wishes and all of that, and all my parents would focus on would be related to what type of grade did you get in the class, right? And I would be like, but I'm doing an extracurricular activity. I was always the geeky one with ideas, basically. And I'm testing this, I'm testing that out, etc. I remember when I used to play like video games, and I used to, read a lot on the internet. Before we had all of these resources and all of it, you would, sit and look at encyclopedias still that were digitalized at that point in time. You would look at some videos, you would look at different websites, you would, read, you would try to learn, you would take books from the library. And they kept pushing on me the rules that they think that you need to live life by, like go to university, finish a school, get married, have kids, get a house, and all of that. And like, while those all things are great, I did finish university, I do have a master's degree and everything, but while I was studying, like, I wasn't focused on getting the degree. I did it for the paper, let's say. But I also did it so I can have, I would say, few years in which I don't have the push that I need to earn money, and that I can discover who I am. And I did so many things. I traveled, I met so many people, I ran a few nonprofits, I was basically networking with people, I would go to conferences, and I was maintaining my classes and all of that. But at the same time, that was really not my focus. And I decided at one point, okay, they wanted me to have a master's degree. Why not? It's going to give me some time. I'll do it, and I'll do other stuff that I want to do. And now that I'm an adult, it still clashes sometimes, I would say, but it's less. But it's also very much more painful when it happens. I think you can relate to that. And it's so funny. I do basically software implementation and work with clients for a living. And when I have to show my dad how to open Excel, he gets angry and frustrated. And it's very interesting to see. And I have patience with him and all of that. But like, then I go back to my day career, and I do these systems, and I help people and to run their businesses digitally. And I think to myself, like, why are other people talking to me differently than people who know me my whole life? So like, what's your take on that?
oh my God, such a good topic. So, as I mentioned, when you grow and evolve, when you're ultimately what you're doing is you're opening your awareness. And as you open your awareness more and more, you notice like how misaligned other people around you might be. And I think parents is a perfect example, because they're doing the best with their experience. Like, we have to realize something. My life is different from yours. Like, we're both living today. We're both here in this moment, but we're both living two very different experiences based off our life and our past history. So are our parents, right? So this is why, and with my friends, I never push any of my beliefs on them. If they want to ask or want to inquire anything, they can. I think the great thing with like Mel Robbins' let them theory, just let everyone be. What's interesting is we choose what we want to be annoyed by, what we want to be frustrated by. If your family, parents annoy you or frustrate you, get curious as to why, right? Why are you allowing this situation to annoy you so much, right? And I mean, your dad getting frustrated, it's probably not the Excel. Like, you know what I mean? It's probably limiting beliefs that he can't do technology, like, or whatever. Who knows, right? It could stem back from him being a kid and never being able to figure something out and his parents telling him that, right? Or school telling him that. Could be anything. And so I think the most important thing with anyone around you is let them be who they are. Continue to be who you want to be. And that might mean you may be required to distance yourself from certain people that are like really not supportive of it. But the next question would be, why do you need support from them? Right? Like, of course, we don't want to like lose connection with our family. But like, yeah, my connection with my parents is very cordial. You know what I mean? It's like, I've never been like best buddy. Like, I don't call my mom up and tell her all my secrets. Like, I never been like that. And it's like very comfortable, easy, like, you know. And the one interesting thing is when I'm around my parents, they don't live in the same city as me. When I'm around them for more than like a dinner, I see it's so fascinating. The projection. So we have to realize what we say is a projection of how we feel, right? And oftentimes people will project things towards someone else and about someone else. For example, my mom projecting worry and concerns about my dad and maybe his health, when ultimately these are her own worries and concerns, but it's easy to make it about someone else than to actually accept that it's really something within you. So that for me is one of the hardest things, because with all my knowledge work I do with my clients, and it's fascinating because my mom's also a coach, but she does more like results focused coaching, not at all in spirituality in the slightest bit. And so yeah, it's fascinating because I'm just like, I see all these things, but then it helps me be a bit more empathetic, right? It helps me see, wow, this is what's really going on, you know? But again, most listeners are probably, you know, haven't necessarily been working as a mindset coach for the last 5 years. And so when you're in that situation, again, just continue on your journey. You don't need any approval, permission to step into your power. And if you're not getting the support from your closest friends and family, well, here's the thing. People don't like change. So it's like when you start growing and evolving and saying these new things, it's not that they like don't want to necessarily support you. They may not know how, and they also could be judging themselves. They're like, wow, like, oh my God, she's thinking this way now. I wish I could think that way. But instead it comes out as like resentment, right? It comes out in a non-supportive way. So just know, like, you don't need any permission to evolve yourself. And it's your responsibility to surround yourself with people that will support you. And over the last 5 years, like, my circles have shifted. I still, of course, like, have some core friends, but I really see myself distancing from them. And it's interesting because I've been in a relationship now for a year, now living with my boyfriend, not quite downtown anymore, since November. And I've been thinking, like, I believe that I still would have spent less time with some of my close friends that I was hanging out with a lot. I still truly believe I would have pulled back even if I didn't have my boyfriend, because it became more and more apparent to me that when I hung out with them, it was very energetically draining for me. Like I cannot it's like one of those things where you're around your dinner table, like you're, around a table with your friends or your family, and all people are doing are bitching and complaining. And literally, like, I went home one time for a visit for a weekend, and we're sitting at the table, and there's gossiping, this and that. Did you hear about this? So and so's doing that. And like, my parents are lovely. Like, we're from the East Coast. We're like the friendliest people, like, very lovely. But they're just talking very negatively. Like, my mom was like gossiping on stuff. And I swear, I stopped at her at one point. I said, is there like anything good going on in anyone's life right now that we can talk about? Like, think about this, and think about this now whenever everyone listening here, and Laura, as you move through your day today, think about the conversations you hold. Are you fueling the negativity fire, right? Are you fueling that, or are you, trying to shift it? And I always try to shift. I'm just like, oh, I don't even have patience for like all this negativity. There's a time and a place to feel, trust me. But like, I'm like, okay, let's kind of like celebrate what's actually going well. So yeah, let them be who they are. Let them meet them where they're at. And one more layer to this. Things can feel very complicated and tricky when you're in a relationship. You start growing and evolving, and your partner isn't doing anything. So this is again where you need to get really clear on what you truly desire, on the type of support you want from a partner, on how you envision your own growth. And I'll tell you that before this relationship, I was in a relationship for 9 months with someone. It seemed like, at the beginning, it seemed like a dream. And I'm very fortunate that all my relationships, they just weren't the right people. Like, it was like I was also not the person I am today. I was easily argumentative. Like, it's funny because all my friends would be like, what? Like, I'm so friendly and stuff, but I was like nitpicky because I observed this with my mom and my dad. So I was always nitpicky and like getting so annoyed and like easily frustrated, and I'm not afraid of an argument. Like, take the gloves off. I'm not violent, but I'm not afraid. Like, I'm really good with my words. So really, I'm not meant to be with people that are like that. But I was with this individual that at the beginning, it seemed like a dream. I was like, wow, someone that loves walking like I do. They love all the things that I do. This is amazing. He says he has an open mind, like everything I wanted to hear. 3 months in, cracks start to show. And I've been coaching. Like, this is like 2 years ago. Like, I had been like 2.5 years ago. I was coaching women. I've been working on myself. I started seeing and observing things, and I'm like, that's interesting. Insecurities are surfacing. I'm like, I have insecurities. We all do. So I'm like, okay, but everything's being twisted around on me. And then he starts pushing my buttons. And again, I'm like, at that point, I had grown a lot, and I'm like, and I would literally be like, I do not need to be bothered by this. I do not need to be bothered by this. And he would poke the bear and poke the bear and poke the bear. And I would lose it. Like, lose it. He pushed me so far to my limit, and he was a narcissist. And I'd never been with someone like that. And it was so twisted, and he would push me so far, but then, love bomb me and we're meant to be together, and this is the most amazing thing and all this stuff. And thankfully, I was only with him for 9 months. I know women that are in these situations for a long time. But thankfully, I'll never settle, ever. I said this to a boyfriend in 2015. I will never settle on my own happiness. I started to realize how energetically draining he was, how much he just pushed me and pushed me and pushed me to the point that I'm like, am I going to punch you in the face? Like, you're literally getting me so mad. and you're making it about me, but it's everything about him, like all his own insecurities he's not dealing with. And so here's the thing. You might realize, and this is going to be your own decision. Like, I realized he said he had an open mind. He just told me what I wanted to hear. He covered up who he really was. He was not comfortable with who he really was. And I was. And I'm a very secure person. I have insecurities, of course, but someone like myself being with someone who's very insecure is very challenging for them. And he was threatened by me, and he ultimately had no desire to grow. I gave him 9 months. Show me. Like, you know what I mean? Show me what you're going to do. And all he would do is say, oh, well, I listened to that podcast you said. And he'd tell me about it was the one thing I explained to him about it. I'm like, man, this guy's got like a recording, like memory. Like, he could spew things. The funniest thing is when it all ended, he said to me, but what if it could work out better than you ever imagined? And that face exactly. And I was like, bro, this is so far from what I imagined, and that's never going to happen. Like, and I was so woken up by that moment. Like, it was so done, but it's hilarious because he was spewing my own things at him. So ultimately we have a choice, right? Every single day we have a choice. So I do say that if you're on this journey and you see now as you're growing and evolving, your partner's not, I'm not saying break up with them or leave them. But, you can experiment. I've got clients where we talk about how can I start talking to my partner about some of the things? How can I raise this in soft ways that aren't going to like cause a fight? All this stuff. But ultimately, like, you'll be able to tell if someone's willing to grow or not. And in my current relationship, I met someone that is putting in the work, that has always dreamt about having someone like me. And, as annoying as I can be, it's a blessing to have someone that's not going to dwell in the pity party. Like, I see his highest good. The most beautiful thing about my relationship now is I accept him exactly as he is. So, of course, in any relationship, you need to have your eyes open and you're aware and see how, like, you're the only one that can make yourself happy, and the other person should enhance that. But that can be like a challenging thing, like when you're growing but your partner's not. And again, it's like, just focus on you and trust as well. In my mind, I'm like, if this isn't meant to work out, it won't work out. Like, there's a reason I left my ex, right? It was like I'd had enough, and I don't know why even I stayed as long as I did, but I was meant to. I learned some real lessons, got real clear on what I wanted and didn't want. And then when I finally opened myself up to receive, it was amazing at the caliber of men I was meeting. I met my current boyfriend online. I met all my last boyfriends online, but the caliber of men shifted. It was wild. Like, I was meeting men that were journaling. I was meeting men that were in touch with themselves, that were mindful. Like, and I was like, where did you guys come from? And then I find my partner now. So, and it's beautiful. We're both growing together. Like, he's read The Power of Awareness. He's reading The Greatest Secret, The 4 Agreements. Like, every time I get a book, he's like, I want to read that. And I'm just like, finish the last one, then read this, So that's possible. I'll show you that's possible. But yeah, it can be challenging with friends and family.
I feel that also comes under a little bit of manifestation, because all of my relationships, I always found exactly what I was looking for, even in looks. Basically, the person that you imagine and the correct characteristics. I think that, at least for me, that was also a little bit of manifestation. But you also receive what you're kind of ready for, or the level of your own work on yourself and the challenges. I do feel that there are some things in life, not just in relationships with partners, but also in relationships with family, friends, business clients, even, that the way you are kind of wiring yourself at that moment in time, that's what you're going to encounter. And I also do believe, when I know what I need to kind of find, the amount of money I need for this whole year, the amount of money for paychecks and all of that, the project projects kind of appear, and it's not magic poof out of thin air stuff that people think manifestation is. I really think it's clarity, even maybe a better word for it a little bit, because you sit down, you feel the feelings, and you're like, okay, deep down, what do I want? What is important to me? What do I need to do? Where do I find that? And I always remember the exercise that Tony Robbins does on most of his online webinars that are free, and on the paid ones also, where he asks people to imagine, to look in the room and look everything that's red, right? And then you find everything that's red around you. You close your eyes, you wait a minute, and then he asks how many things were orange or brown or blue. Where were the blue stuff? And you can't remember anything blue because you were looking only at the red. And I think that's basically what we are doing when we are choosing our thoughts and how we act and all of that. So if I, decide to sit on a Tuesday morning and be like, there are no clients, I've been doing this for, I don't know, 3 years, I don't have any projects happening, so I'm ruminating, catastrophizing. And then basically that's my whole morning. Did I find clients? No. But if I sit down and I'm like, okay, my calendar is entirely free. What is the type of person I want to work with? Where are they? Where do I find them? Let's find a networking group. Let's message somebody on LinkedIn. Let's make a call, and it's so easy. For example, we connected over Instagram, we exchanged 2 or 3 messages, and now we're in a podcast because I knew what type of guests I was looking for, and it was a pleasant conversation then. Then we had our virtual coffee, and now we're having this podcast, and it's almost an hour and a half, and it feels like 5 minutes. So
I know, I saw the time. I'm like, wow.
I just looked at the time just to know how much time we have, and it's wild. So what do you think about that, and how do you translate that to your clients? Because you do work with so many high achieving women, and we gave our own examples. What are the patterns that you see in them?
So it's very interesting what you said there. And I think how you set yourself up, and it's interesting how you're talking about, okay, you've got all this space in your calendar. So how can you fill that space? Like, what could you be doing that your future self would be doing? Now, sometimes in those moments, so, you've got a business, and just like a lot of the women I work with, I mean, everyone, I call them visionaries. So I'm a visionary. I don't just work with private clients. I've got group programs. I'm hosting retreats. I do corporate workshops. I do corporate retreats. I do speaking, lots of things. So as a visionary, I mean, we could always fill our time. But sometimes, and Laura, maybe you've felt this before, is like sometimes you've got this space in your day or a free day. I actually love having a free day. It's like, to be honest, I used to crave having my calendar so full. And now I actually love when there's a lot of space. Sometimes you don't know what to do with that. So what you'll naturally probably do is feel a bit stressed and worried. And you sit there and you're like, well, my day should be filled. I should have a full day. I should have client meetings. I should have reached out to more people. I should have more coffee chats. Like all these things that you should have done. However, let's go back to that feminine energy a bit. If you're having space and time in your schedule and you're unsure what to do with it, sit in silence. Maybe you want some peaceful music in the background, light a candle, sit in silence. You can ask, you can say out, I'm looking for clarity. I'm looking for clarity on how to step into my next level. Show me. And now when you go into, closing your eyes and thinking about this, your mind is going to wander. Trust me, I am no expert at what's the word? Meditating. I'm like manifesting. I'm no expert on meditating. It can take time, and it's all about bringing yourself into awareness and letting thoughts just come and go. Like, think about a train in the train station. You're the station. You're not a passenger on the train. You allow your thoughts to come in and leave and come in and leave. But really, allow the clarity to come. Don't force it. If you force it, here's what you're going to do. You're going to be like, well, I got this time in my day. Okay, get your phone. You're like, what is so-and-so doing? And you go on your Instagram and you see like women that you admire and you look in their stories like, oh shit, oh my God, she's doing this. Look at that. Oh, that's cool. And you start seeing what everyone else is doing and you're like, well, I should do that. If they have the life I want, I should be doing that. Yeah, like, but you got to do it in your own way and in what feels good for you. So allowing the clarity to come, softening, softening into it, that feminine energy, allow it to come. Not only allow it, trust that it is going to come. Now, it may not come that day. Like you might be sitting. Now, there's many ways to meditate. Another thing that I love is when I'm pushing and forcing, I'm like, I need to get outside. And it's interesting because I used to live pretty close to water. I used to go for walks like all the time. Since I moved, especially in the winter, spending a lot of less time out walking. But I'm trying to integrate more and more of that back into my day. And I get out and I walk. Because when you're in motion, I feel like I'm in flow. And then I can just let my mind run wild. It can think whatever it wants. And it's always when I'm on my walks that I gain clarity that I need. And I'm able to then take action on things. So again, like we want to step away from that hustle and grind and fall into ease and flow and trust. And sometimes trust is hard, but we can start with little tiny things that happen throughout our day. So these little intuitive nudges that we get, little tiny decisions that you make and trusting and knowing that you're making the right decision, or looking back at decisions you've made and seeing how the results were and that you're happy in that. Trust isn't always easy. However, it's like when you have a deep inner belief and burning desire to do what you do, then inevitably there's no reason why you would be doing it if it wasn't going to work out in one way or another. Now, look, I started a virtual fitness business and look at where I am now. Like I've been on the cover of magazines. Like, I just printed in this incredible Oralis magazine last week. Like I have a feature in there. Like, it's just like, I didn't know any of that was going to happen back then. Like the evolution has been amazing. And I just am so deeply ingrained in the trust and embodiment that I'm like, okay, if I get a nudge to do something, and actually what you said, Laura, about, how we connected and we connected on Instagram and you saw and you're like, wow, like, yeah, Jane is like someone I'd want to vibe with and she could be great on my podcast. As I've created this retreat, not forcing, but I had an idea and I was like, I actually have a number of women in my community that I think would be perfect for this retreat. And so I just had a thought. I was like, I'm going to reach out to like this person, because one, they may not see they may not be on Instagram. They could be on LinkedIn. Two, the chances of them seeing one of my posts may be minimal. Three, why would I not just call them in? Like if I'm feeling a pull to do that. And this is how we like take that inspired action, but we act on our intuitive nudges. I'm really in tune with my intuition and how I feel. And if it'll just come to you. It just is like, you get this thought, you're like, oh, I should reach out to this person. Or you think about someone, or you just have this memory of something and you're like, wow, I'm going to take action on that. And so yesterday evening, like I have good, in terms of boundaries, like I'm not on my phone all the time. I actually can't stand being on it half the time. And so it's like when I get this pull, I'm just like, sent 5 messages yesterday, like off to these amazing women that I know. And I'm like, I've got this really exciting thing. Like I'm planning this luxurious retreat and maybe it's something you're looking to do. Maybe you want to join. I'd love to have you there. Your energy would be amazing. And, put it out there. But yeah, I think that clarity cannot be forced. Clarity cannot come from someone else. Clarity is something you find from within. And you must allow space and time. No, like drop the timelines. This is something that's really hard for me to understand initially. When I started joining these amazing communities, I was seeing women manifest shit that I was like, how is that even possible? And fast, like so fast. And all I kept thinking was, when's it my turn? When's it my time? We cannot put a timeline on anything, just like we can't put an expectation on something. But what you certainly can do is set yourself up for a more ideal outcome. So, like you said, Laura, we can't just sit around like hoping and wishing our manifestations are going to happen. We have to take action. And so when you get this intuitive nudge to do something, you have a thought to do something, do it.
If today's episode makes you realize your tools are not supporting your business, Proprium builds systems in tools like Airtable, SmartSuite, ClickUp, HubSpot, Make, Zapier, and many more. Proprium's team maps your processes, builds your workflows, automates your tasks, and trains your team. If you want systems done properly, visit proprium.agency.
Allow yourself to be in flow with it. Allow it to happen. If you start to feel like you're sitting at your desk, reaching out to 10 people a day, doing your lead generation, doing whatever, because you have to do it, well, then I encourage you to get a bit curious about like the reasons why. Because if your energy isn't in a good place behind it, you're only doing it because you think and know, or you should be doing it. There's a balance there with like obviously creating a new habit. It's always hard to do something new when we don't want to do it. Like, trust me, the things that we often put off the most are the most important things we need to do. So there's a balance there. But I do think that what I've gotten in tune with is energetically, as I flow through my day, when and what types of tasks are best suited for certain times. I'm very creative in the morning. It's like my time. I wake up early. I listen to affirmations. I get some movement in. And I'm very creative. I hammered out so much the other day. And so it's like, I know that like I'm not someone to book meetings before 11. After 11, it's like, okay, great. 11 to 2, I'm happy to do meetings because that's how my energy flows. It's like if I had meetings in the day and I wanted to create some things for social media, like I wanted to create these beautiful story slides, which I did this morning for my retreat. It's like if I left that for the afternoon, I'd probably spend 2.5 hours trying to pick photos versus in the morning, I know I'm just in the zone and I hammer it out in like 45 minutes. So be in flow. Allow yourself to be in flow. Allow the clarity to come. Allow it to show up. Give yourself space and time for that. Continuing to force and push, it's just not going to happen.
So there are a few things that you said. One, the shoulds. When you're looking at other people and being like, they're doing this and that and this and that. I remember somebody told me, stop shooting on yourself. And I love that sentence because it's just unnecessary stress and strain, and you're just making yourself feel really bad. And it's also not the same timeline. So maybe this person that I just saw win an award or do this or do that, who knows how many years it took them, who knows how many heartbreaks, how many bad situations it took them. And maybe that person just shared that picture right at that time when I saw it and I was feeling low, and they deserve that moment, and I just am making myself more miserable. So I feel that so many people do that to themselves, and that's, I think, a toxic way of kind of parenting yourself. Because if you guide yourself through shame, guilt, and all of those things, how are you going to do anything? It's just pure humiliation. So you're kind of boxing yourself in that belief, and it's happening, it's being true because you're saying that you suck as a person, then you're not doing anything to change it. Of course, you're gonna realize that it could be true at a point, right? And then the second thing that you mentioned, the walks. I remember somebody told me, I don't know if I hear it on a podcast or somewhere, that walks have the same effect on you as EMDR therapy, which is a rapid eye movement therapy. And I think that there is something there, basically, because you're moving through the nature. You're looking left, you're looking right, you're a little bit trying to figure out what's happening, but you're also thinking, and it's a form of meditation. So I feel that walks are the best way to tackle anything. And if not a huge nature walk, just go to another room, remove yourself from the space, calm down, and either feel your feelings or start doing something else. But I feel that self emotional regulation is crucial, because that bleeds into everything else. You can't have a healthy business or business based on systems if you sit the whole day, look at Instagram, and just feel jealousy, right? So there are so many things people can do, and they need to kind of realize about themselves to start working on those things to feel happier. Um, yeah, so those are the two things I wanted to comment from everything that you mentioned. And I also noticed that uh, the more kind of successful you are in a traditional sense related to business, the more miserable you are in this new world where it's not bad to be vulnerable, it's not bad to feel your emotions, it's not a very ugly word to say that you need rest. I don't know if it's everybody listening or most people, but I remember when I was growing up, it was very not attractive to be like, I'm just gonna take some rest. No, do something. Don't get bored, dust or clean something, or somebody would find something for you to do. And I feel that in 2025 it's much easier to sit down and be like, this is just my time right now. I can meditate, I can think about something else. So what do you think about that?
Oh, definitely. I think allowing yourself that, like allowing that space for yourself, we're the ones that are the hardest people to like convince that it's okay to take breaks. And I know from the hustle culture, I spent the first couple of years of my business just work, messaging on my phone all the time, like giving my clients all the time and energy, neglecting myself. But an affirmation I love is the more I rest, the more I make. And I think it's so powerful. And when you truly start to believe that, but then it's like, why do I feel, again, get curious, why do I feel I need to work all the time? And how exhausting, right? Like when we really think about, and this, I think, when we think about the life of our future self, it's like she's chill, she's relaxed, she's calm. And it's interesting. One of my clients, love her. When we started working together, she's like building a business. She's a virtual assistant. She has a virtual assistant business. And she likes to start her day at 12 o'clock. Her and I are completely different. My alarm goes off at 5:30, and I don't jump out of bed, but like I listen to affirmations and we're very different. So she's like, her goal is to bring in more business so she can bring her daughter on to her team. Beautiful. Bring in more money, consistent income, so she can do that. It's like, cool. Okay. Who do you need to be to have that? And she's like, yeah, but the thing is, I don't want to lose my slow mornings. I like that I get to start my day at 12. I have a nice breakfast with my husband, a coffee in bed, like all these things. And I'm like, what makes you think you can't have that? You get to choose. You get to create the life that you want. Anything is possible for you. And for her, she was like, well, I just thought I'd have to work more. And it's like, well, if your mornings, and I think having a good morning routine is so important, even if it's just 10 minutes, 5 minutes that you give to yourself every morning to set the tone for your day. I don't wake up and look at my phone. The only thing I do is I hit a playlist on Spotify, and it plays all this really beautiful music, very like good for my brain. I'm very conscious of the things I consume on a regular basis, and I have that playing for like a half an hour, get up, do movement, but it sets the tone for my day. Everything I do in the morning, and it's like my energy's sacred. The other day when my boyfriend didn't get paid the amount he wanted, he was like, F this, I'm just going to show up today and leave, like all these things, right? And I'm just like, whoa, the energy was just like not what I wanted in the morning. But this is reality. Like these things come up, we can only do our best. But what's really interesting with my client is fast forward like 3 months later, she just moved into her dream place with her husband that she'd been manifesting. And she said to me, she's like, you'd be so proud. She's like, I'm getting up now at 8:30. And she's like, and I'm going for a walk. And now I didn't tell her any of this. Like I don't tell her what to do. I don't tell anyone what to do. Like I'm just like, let's figure out what you desire. And she's like, I moved into this beautiful new place. It's in another part of the East Coast of Canada. She's like, and it's beautiful. I can either walk into town or I can walk a nature trail. She saw a deer outside her window. Like, she's like, I love it. And I just, now she's like, because, and she said this to me, my future self gets up and moves early and is like more active. And so she's like, I don't go for too long. I walk like a kilometer or two, like not too far, but she's like, you know, or a mile, wherever you are. But yeah. And so, you know, it's like, it's amazing to see. And, you know, and she's like, that allows me then, like, I still have my slow mornings, but now she's picked up some new clients. She's like, now I start work at like 11 by choice, right? It's not like she felt like she had to sacrifice anything. Like she truly is doing that by choice, which is so cool to see.
I really feel that's like the crucial thing here, by choice, you know, because all of those advices that people give you, all of the beliefs that we kind of get in our initial package, you know, installed in our brain, let's say, basically that's the crucial aspect of it. And it's really, really important to keep reminding yourself of that. And then basically let everything come from that and around that. And then, you know, things come full circle at any given time, and you will get those things that you're looking for. I just feel that clarity then gives you the backwards planning for it, if that makes sense.
For sure. And I actually said to my boyfriend yesterday that I find it fascinating that people will constantly complain about their job, about their business, about their life, their lack of travel, their relationship, whatever. And I'm like, and they're choosing to be there. Like, trust me, would I like my debt wiped away? Well, look, I manifested 30K in 6 weeks, in August into September. Now, let me tell you, that 30K showed up. It was always there. The money's always there, which is interesting. It was already there. It was in a retirement savings account I had. And I was like, I'm not retiring anytime soon. My business is going to continue to grow and expand. That's going to be, you know, how much I make in a month consistently. So I'm like, I'm taking it out now. Like, I need it now. So I took it out, and it's like amazing. Like, we spent all this time worrying about shit when it could be gone in a millisecond, right?
Yeah.
It can be wiped away. And this is the interesting thing too, is like, but again, so everyone complains about things, but they don't open their eyes up. They don't take ownership that you're choosing to be where you are right now. You have power to choose your thoughts. Your thoughts and your words are creating your reality. So again, back to this choice, you have a choice. And it doesn't mean your situation is going to change overnight, but you have a choice to start thinking differently, to surround yourself with different people, to get coaching and mentorship from people that are going to help you to work through your fears and doubts, to gain clarity on what you deeply desire. Like, that's one of the most interesting things. When a woman comes into my world, I'm like, what do you deeply desire? What do you really want? At what point in our lives do we stop dreaming? Like, after the age of 12? Like, you know, when our senses come in, our subconscious kicks in, and we start worrying about things, and we start really like taking on what our parents have done and creating this life for ourselves. Like, when do we actually dream? And that's the most beautiful thing, like hearing from women what they deeply want. And the funniest thing is they'll always be like, they start their dream. They're like, well, I like don't want to be living where I am now. Like, I want to be in like a bigger house, but not like too big. And like, but I mean, I would like to have this type of job, but honestly, I'd be fine if I had like this. And I'm like, okay, pause. You're limiting yourself. I'm like, you could wake up every freaking morning and take a private jet to Bali, and that's where your office is, and then fly home. You know what I mean? Whatever it is you want, like, it's yours. Like you can have it if you allow it. And so clarity comes through dreaming, comes through when you start to realize what you deeply desire and you're thinking about it, other things happen. Like I'll tell you a simple example of what's happening right now in my place as I look out on my balcony. I had an intuitive nudge a week ago, literally 1 week ago. It's actually amazing what happens in a week. And I called my boyfriend and I said, because I was in the realm of planning my retreat. And we have this great balcony space. And last year, I wasn't living here in the summer. So he spent a lot of time at my place downtown. But this year, now that this is my home, I'm like, we got to turn the balcony into a tropical paradise. I'm like, are you on board? And he's like, of course. And I'm like, I have a vision. Like I'm a very visual person. I think part of me was a designer in a previous life. And I was like, okay, I have a vision. And then what's funny is, so as it's coming to life, so we went and bought plants like that day. We bought a couple plants. It's like, it's a phased approach. Bought a couple plants. And then he's like, we have a futon frame. We have a futon that we've been storing. It was like his daughter's old bed. We have the frame outside. We've been storing it all winter. He's like, why don't we just put the futon on there? And I was like, oh, it's already ours. It's already here. And I was like, holy shit. And then he has this massive rug out there, waterproof. We flipped it. He had it on a really dark side. It's reversible. It's completely light and airy on the other side. Flipped it. Put these plants out there. I bought some like reed paneling. It's like bamboo. Found it online. We're going to install it this weekend. So one whole wall is going to be like this little bamboo panel like on it. And it's like, we're going to have lights. I bought these lanterns. I bought a Moroccan light, like all these things. And, it's all coming together as the pieces come together. And I sit out there all week and it's so beautiful. I sit there after this afternoon. It was like, I didn't even go for a walk because I was like, I was so freaking happy. And it's literally, I am thinking, and this is it. When you think about your future self, like I'm not living at the beach right now. Yes, I went to Virgin Islands, lived like my future self over Christmas. Like, yes, I'm planning this amazing retreat, but it's like, I'm not there yet. Like, but what I can do is create today's version of it here. And you can do this through, you could buy a French bottle of wine if you want to go to France, right? Like you can create today's version. And I'm like, I'm creating a tropical paradise. So all summer, and as the weather's nice, we have a place to go outside. We have a beautiful view anyway. Although what's interesting is we have a solid panel. So when we go out there, I'm like, can't see anything. But then when I went out there and we set it up, through the bottom of the railing, I can see a flowing river. I could see the water flowing. Never knew that. I was like thinking, well, this sucks. This whole thing is metal. You can't even see, like it should be glass, but the building's old. And I'm like, wow, I sit on the couch. I don't even I feel like I'm in a new world, right? And that is evoking the feeling of my future self. And this is just a simple example. And on top of that, all the things we already had, we brought 4 plants from inside outside. I had a macrame thing to hang a plant in already. We discovered all these things we already had, but we're just sitting around inside. And so let that be inspiration for you, to see that, wow, I desire this very different life right now. And I'm fully capable of creating some of that today. I can create today's version and allow it to evolve. It's pretty cool.
I love how powerful that is. And I love how that story basically brought us to the end of our discussion. And I think you circled everything pretty well with a great example of how we can just start doing those things immediately. We don't have to wait for big steps or, years to pass until we get to those things. So I really want to thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom. I think that you truly reminded us that systems aren't just automations or tools. We are our first and most important system. So where can people find you if they want to talk a little bit more about this with you?
Well, firstly, thank you. This has been amazing. Almost 2 hours. We could talk forever, I think. And I am on Instagram. Find me. It's nice and easy. It's my name, Jane Wareham. and I show up all the time. I'm in my DMs. I mean, that's how we met. So I'm the one, I'm the one that's doing that. I'm authentically messaging you. It's no like automation things. I mean, those come handy if you're doing ads, but it's like I'm the one that's truly, genuinely looking to make connections. If this touched you, reach out and share that. I think often we tend to watch in silence. And I mean, how we connected too is like, if I come across a profile that moves me, I'm going to take time to comment, so connect with myself, also with Laura. If this touched you, it's like, share this with her if you want more of this, but come on into Instagram. And, I've got some exciting things there's that you're going to get. Laura will talk about that, but I do have my retreat coming up. And so I'm always just like on there sharing things with you. So again, thank you. I'm so grateful. Let me tell you that, I've been fortunate to speak on a number of podcasts, in summits and so forth, but this was once something I journaled about. I am speaking on international podcasts, like that was a journal entry before I was actually doing it. And, here I am doing it. So I'm just so grateful for you holding space for me today, Laura.
Thank you so much, Jane. And to everybody who will be listening to us, if this episode sparked something in you, go follow Jane on Instagram. Check out her podcast, Jane Wareham Podcast, or take her free abundance reset activation. You can also check out her Soul Rising retreat that's happening in October 2025, and you'll find all the links in the show notes. And if you're building systems in your business, but you're forgetting inner work, come back to this conversation anytime. Until next time, stay grounded and stay strategic.
If you enjoy conversations like this, you'll love the Proprium Digital Network. It's a community where digital service founders get tools, templates, weekly insights, and behind the scenes guidance on building systems the right way. If you want to stop building systems alone and start building with support, join us at proprium.agency.